Hello, welcome back to the table. Okay, so I did post a video and talked with a lot of the people who've been watching me do this in real time. And they did, thank you, first of all, for all the encouragement. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to start a playthrough with me still. This is going to be a learning playthrough where I'm the one learning. So if you're here because you want to learn the game and just see the game with, very few errors, etc., look for playthrough number 2. But if you're here and you want to learn along with me or just be a part of the process or just see the process that I went through to learn this game, feel free to stick around. And we're going to dive in and go. This rulebook, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just huge. That's it. There's just a lot of rules, and I found myself reading them and saying, yeah, I'll worry about it when I get there. And so, of course, it has to all come together, and that's a bigger issue. So let's start with our first turn. December 16th is the first turn. And there are special rules for December 16th, so let's flip to that and refresh ourselves on what those are. Why am I not finding it now? Oh, come on. Okay. Here it is. Okay, so right here on page 14, it talks about special rules, and basically we're doing a surprise attack. That's pretty thematic. On the first impulse, our hand is 9 cards instead of 6. We must play cards with a total command value of at least 10. We can activate formations and as combat tactics. First allied impulse is triggered during this first term, impulse only. So there could be many impulses during December 16th, but only the first one has these rules. And then after this, it says we may not move. We may attack and advance after combat with the exception of the reinforced battle combat tactic. We may not play cards as command events or to deploy reserves. Now this is the first impulse still that it's talking about. So once we get to the second impulse, all this stuff is off the table. And we don't draw command cards for allied units under attack. So after the first impulse, our hand size goes to 6, and it's that way for the remainder of the game. There's this traffic jam thing that's for all of December 16th, where only one unit may use a bridge. The rest of them have to cross a bridge as if it was no bridge at all. And that non-mechanized allied units, when it's the allies' turn, they have rules too. And they can only move 1 hex when they do their move, unless they're doing reinforced battle. The allies do not blow bridges. If conducting their engineer event, we check for the placement of a roadblock, but we do not check for blowing bridges. And this is all impulses. Treat the allied artillery as no tactic, but it still gets used, and the core artillery does. When doing deploy reserves, deploy no more than 1 reserve unit, regardless of how many are eligible. Reserve units of the 9th Armored Division are deployed by the 8th Corps command card on this day only, in addition to the 8th Corps and 9th Armored Division command cards. Excuse me, but let's go to the 8th Corps area. Okay, so see, I'm already getting tired just reading one page. Yes, there's a lot, and almost all the rules are like that. So here's what I understand. We got our cards. These are the primaries, and these are the supplemental. And this step here for every turn is quite useful. So reinforcement cards entering play goes face down in the draw pile box if primary. Okay, that's these. Or an available supplemental, that's those. Shuffle these, they're already shuffled. Draw the number of cards indicated for the calendar date and place face down in the draw pile box. Okay, our hand size is 9, but that's not how many cards we draw. We draw, well, actually it might be, but it's not for that reason. So if we come over here to December 16th, okay, so I'm guessing. I didn't read anything in the rules that told me to do this, but I'm guessing that since all of these come out on the 16th, that they're showing up in the reserve unit box. So I'm going to put all these units in the reserve unit box for the allies. Okay, so now let's look at this. So there you can see German supplemental cards, 9. Then initial hand plus 3 cards, because normally your hand size is 6. And then the first turn, we have 10 command level, and from there on out, it's 5. And then it reminds you what the special rules are. So I do find that very helpful. And so basically, it is 9. So we're going to take, of these cards, we're going to draw 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then these go back to the available pile. And then these 9 get shuffled with these. Now, as I understand it, this deck of cards that's going to be in the draw pile, we got an unlimited number of impulses we can do. So the first impulse, of course, is 10 command points. Then the allies go. Then we have 5 command points. Then the allies go. We can do that an unlimited number of times, but eventually our draw pile is going to go empty. And so the idea here is this draw pile is basically like our, I don't want to call it health points, but it's like our time points for December 16th. And the number of cards we draw seems to be different from day to day, and of course we have to check the calendar for that. And so that's going to dictate just how many commands we get to do. I do find it interesting that our initial hand is 9 cards, which means that we're going to be taking a whole bunch of these cards on the very first get-go. So we're not going to get to do that many impulses on this first turn. If we would have only drawn 6 cards, that actually would have increased the number of impulses we get to do, in my opinion. But maybe not. Let's play it out. Let's see how it goes. But that's how it struck me. So then we just take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is normally the rest of the game how it is, but for us, this first turn, we get 3 more. All right, so let's look at our cards. And so you can see this is one of the supplemental cards, and then there's the primary. So we get this in our deck every turn. And so I'm just going to separate them. So you can see we got 4 primary and 5 supplemental. So what does that mean for us? Well, we have the first SS Panzer Corps. We got another Panzer Corps and another Corps. This is, I think, looking at the cards, this doesn't help me. It means nothing to me. I think it might be better to just look at this and decide which groups do I want to attack with, and then let's see what cards I have that might help me to do that. And I did watch the heavy lifting by myself, the first video of his. I didn't watch the whole playthrough, but he did have a couple good things that he was doing, and that was he was marking which units had gone, because you have to keep track of which units activated, because they're not allowed to activate for the remainder of December 16th, and they're not, or the remainder of this impulse or the next one. And so you have to have you have to have a whole impulse go by before they can activate again. So here's a couple of things I did to help us. I know I'm bouncing around a little bit here, but The first one is I printed this from Board Game Geek, and this is just our three-arm. This is our basically the order of battle for Germany, and so what we can do is we can put some kind of marker on here to show. So, for example, if I do the first SS Panzer Corps, we play this card. I can put a marker here on that to show that that corps activated. And so therefore I can't activate it until another impulse goes by, and then I can take it away. And so that's what the purpose of this is. And so I'm going to just sit this over, it's way off over to the left here, but it's here and it's available for us to use. I think it'll be handy. I really do. I liked the printout from Board Game Geek more than trying to put markers on top of a game board that already has 1,000 markers. It gets too cluttery and confusing. The next thing I did was somebody made, this is from the D-Day Omaha Beach days. They basically made a booklet, and I can't remember what they were called for Omaha Beach, but they were really helpful. And you know, it says the booklet's not a replacement for the solo rulebook, but it's meant to be a perfect flip through. It's like a flip book, actually, is I think what it was called. And so what it does is it has, you know, some nomenclature, but it's going to help us to step through our turn. And what I like about it is it's in chronological order, so it helps me to find the rules that I need to be aware of when I need to be aware of them. And so, for example, it starts off with the same thing we just went through. What are the special rules for December 16th? And I did make it double-sided. This might actually hurt me because if you'll notice, there's no page numbers on this. So that's the one criticism I have of it. And I made it double-sided, so guess what's going to happen is I'm going to get these, I'm going to drop this on the floor one day and not know which way is up. But basically, so what we're doing now is oh, there's a reserve phase. See, I didn't even know there was a reserve phase, but so move the units from the current day calendar to the respective reserve box. So we did that. Then we can skip this because this doesn't happen until December 18th. And once per game, if a German unit is in a hex adjacent to or across from the Meuse River. Okay, so that was my first question, because I do remember this rule. Where the blazes is the Meuse River? I'm assuming it's this one here. But how far does the Meuse River, like is this also the Meuse River? And if not, I mean, usually when a river branches like that, it's a different river. So I need to look that up. Like, where is the Meuse? Well, here we go. I see the word Meuse right there. See, it says Meuse River. So there it is. Okay, so this is the Meuse River. Then we get to this. So is this the Meuse River or is that? I'm going to assume that because of the way it branches. So if that's the Meuse River, it goes up to here. Then what? Does it go up that way or does it keep going? For such a significant landmark, you would think it would be better marked on this game, but it's not. I'm sure somewhere in a rulebook it explains it. But okay, so that's our first note. We got to figure out where the Meuse River is. Right now, I don't freaking care because it's in the middle of the map, and we're all the way blazes over here. So, but I mean, at some point we're gonna have to figure that out, and so I'm okay with not knowing that right now. Okay, and then it has this supply check. I don't think we need to worry about supply right now, so we're going to skip that. And then this is what we just did. So we did the card prep phase. We did 9 cards. We have the Allied deck already good to go. And so now we would skip the supply phase. I think we're on the command phase. And here's why. The supply phase says 17 plus, right? So it's December 17th. So now we move to the command phase, which is this guy. And so we're going to do play a card. See, like this flip book is almost like too wordy. I mean, we've just skipped through, what, 4 pages of stuff before. We're going to play a card, and then we have to keep a running total of our command values. I do appreciate this. Complete a command before beginning the next if the impulse is not over. And then after completing command, okay, so then this is a description of what the commands are. So we could do an event command, but remember the December 16th rules said we're not allowed to do an event command. And so so what it's trying to do here is, for example, these cards right there. See, there's an event command. That is not allowed on December 16th, first impulse. We're not allowed to do any event commands. So, but what this flipbook is doing is it's trying to explain that that's a different kind of command than like a deploy command or an activate command or a etc. And also remember that we always ignore the A's. The A's are for the Allied solo game, and we're in the German solo game, so the G's apply to us and the A's do not. Okay, so so with that being done, let's get our hands dirty here and figure out what we want to do. Okay, so we have a bunch of blown up bridges, and they seem to be in the south here. And somebody did send me a nice reminder that this Battle of the Bulge is the same area that the Germans surprised France, and that the west wall here is the old Maginot Line, which I found helpful because I know what all those things are. I just didn't make the connection. So thank you for that. And the big surprise came through the forest. That's what it always did. And I'm looking at this and I'm seeing a similar thing. You can see we have a whole bunch of tanks here, so a whole bunch of panzers. So I think the game is encouraging us to do a bulge through the middle, which is, I think, what, you know, historically happened. Now, what's interesting is the heavy lifting by myself video, the first video that I watched, I think I watched like the first 2 videos of his series. I didn't go any further than that. He did an interesting thing where he took some panzers here and he went up and around and punched a hole right here in their line. However, he violated a rule because on this first turn, all bridges have a traffic jam. And so in order for him to get his troops from here to there, he went across this bridge and he treated it like it was a normal road, and he had multiple units go across that bridge. I'm pretty convinced that if he only brings 1 tank across that bridge and not the mini tanks that he did, that his battle outcome would have come out completely different. I mean, he basically punched a huge hole through here. So his tactic was wrong. Well, he could do it. It's just that he would only be able to do it with 1 tank instead of with many. But the one advice he gave is try to have large numbers in your attacks. Your combats do better if you have large numbers. Don't try to have smaller, lower odds combat. So I at least listened to that, and I did take away from that. So I'm looking at the situation, and let's try to get strategic here. I'm seeing a couple of things. Number one, all the fuel stuff is up in the north. If you look at almost all the Allies' fuel things are up in the north. And I don't remember what's on the other side of them, but I think that that's good for us, bad for them, if we take them. There's only one down here, Bastogne. I do see that the Allies have a very strong presence here. And basically, the way I read this is everywhere you see a yellow circle, you can just imagine that there's an unseen Allied troop there, potentially. Because those are all places that the Allies would have troops. And so I'm looking at, here's where I'm going. This is a nice, juicy 2-point victory spot. It's early, right? It's an early thing for us to get. I see 1, 2, 3 bridges that have not been blown up. The Allies are not allowed to blow up bridges in this first day, according to the special rules. And so what I want to do is I want to push them over these bridges. And I see just some basic infantry holding me back from accomplishing that. And so, so what I want to do is I want to push them over the bridge. I want to take this 2 victory points early. There's another 2 victory points here that's not very far down the road. So I can get some early victory points. And even here, I'm seeing this nice chain, like it's a nice juicy chain of victory points that are all in the middle here. Plus, what I'm also seeing is not a lot of yellow circles. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of non-yellow circles. These are, I guess, clear open areas, probably difficult for us to hold as well. But the point is if I can push over these bridges, I see a wide open area for me to conquer. So I could be dead wrong, but that's how I'm looking at this. Now, this is a blown up bridge and also a improved position. If you see there, that star means an improved position. So the game is sort of encouraging me to try to cross here, except this blown up bridge. I think this thing got bumped. Let me check. 1708. Yeah, and something got bumped here. This is 1807. That's 1707. Yeah, so these guys are all 1807. That's something's not right here. Hold on. 1605. That's 1706. These are all. There we go. 1707. 1807 is. Oh, he's across the river. And then he's back there. So this one's 1708, which is this guy. Yeah, so he's across the bridge there, but apparently we have an infantry already across the bridge. So it's encouraging us to try to punch through here, because we already have a unit across the river, which to me seems like a major accomplishment. And I'm still thinking I want to punch through up here and then maybe encircle this. So I want to punch through and encircle south and just basically get the whole south to, well, actually, let me think about this. I was initially thinking, let's punch through and circle south, but I just mentioned that all the fuel points are up north. So maybe we should punch through and circle north. That might be a better move. And then the south here, their job is really to just hold their ground, because all the bridges are blown up here anyway, so screw that. I mean, we don't want to cross where the blown up bridges are. All the bridges are healthy up here, so I think I'm going to just draw this like imaginary line across. And yeah, we'll go ahead and take this. So maybe the imaginary line's here, and then we're going to focus on the northern part of the map, and then the southern part we're going to just leave be. And almost like an alligator mouth, we're gonna just come across and then come down, and then like the door will just swivel down like this, and then anything that gets caught up down here is just gonna get cut off from supply. I mean, look at this punk way over here. His ability to get supply is going to be dependent on what's back here. I can be smoking pot. I don't know. But that's where my thoughts are. So so what do we want to do then? We want to do, who are these guys? These are the, I hate Roman numerals. These are the 47th Corps or the 43rd. So the 43rd and the 47th are the two primary ones here. And then up here you could see this is the 46th. But the 46th looks pretty weak compared to the other ones. And as far as improved positions go, they do have an improved position there, and there, and there. So they do have improved positions here, but I think that's where we want to punch. We want to punch those. Okay, so with that being said, let's look at our restrictions again, because I need to know. We may not move unless it's a reinforced battle tactic. I got it. Only one unit may use a given bridge. Okay, so there's this thing. It's called a camp group. I read about it at a Holiday Inn last night, and I want to use it. So we have, now I get very confused with the colors. So like this little light blue you see back here, that's the Army, but it's representing not the top banner, but the bottom color. So then this darker gray you see here is representing this color. So these units are from the German 5th Panzer Army, whereas the German 7th Army are these units way down here. So I'm looking at this card as a possibility. And what I'm thinking is, there's the 6th Panzer Army. I don't have anything for the German 5th Panzer Army. But the 7th Panzer Army is good enough. So I'm going to do this card right here. And of all the actions, we can't do the event. Remember, that's cut off. We're not able to deploy reserves. That's also cut off. So no reserves for us. This is the one I want to do. Activate one camp group in 7A, or we can activate one corps, or we can activate a unit. Well, no, this is A. We skip A, and that's it. So those are the three things we can do. Now, if I wanted to activate a corps, what that means, my understanding, is I can activate, so the corps are the Roman numerals, right? So I can activate these 4 units here, or these units here. But that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a camp group, and it says it needs to be in 7A. So is my understanding that when it says it needs to be in 7A, and I'm going to look this up real quick, but it's my understanding that you see this little bar in the back here, and then there's this squiggly line, right? That's within 7th A, because this is the entire 7th Army region. And so as long as I place it somewhere south of this squiggly line, because, you know, the 7th Army region goes all the way to the bottom of the board, as long as it's south of this squiggly line, I'm okay. And let me pull it up just to make sure, because I am going off of poor memory here. And let's find out. Okay, so activating a German camp group. Actually, it might even be here. So we're not going to deploy, we're not going to assign replacements. I should not have made this a two-sided document. It was a great idea at the time. Right here. Activate a KG. That's a camp group. Place the KG marker in any hex on the map. Activate units 0 to 2 hexes from the marker. All on-map units of the Army card. Yeah, we're gonna have to look it up in the rules. This is not helping me. So it's actually confusing me. So let's do the rules. 6.4. All right, I gotta be really careful because this fuel always gets bumped by me. Okay, so here we go. It allows you to activate all units in the Army within 2 hexes of a designated in the Army. Ooh, so that means that I may not be able to activate a different Army, can I? Oh, come on. That's the one I wanted. Play of the Army Group B card allows you to activate all unmapped German units within 2 hexes of a designated command, regardless of Corps or Army assignment. That's what I want, right there. So right here, they're doing an Army Group B, which I don't even know what Army Group B is for us. Oh, okay. So the camp group might actually behave differently if it's an Army group versus an Army. Ooh, that's definitely a pickle. Let's try this example here. You play the 6th Panzer Army card to activate a camp group made up of units of the 1st SS Panzer Corps and 2nd SS Panzer Corps. For the remainder of the current impulse and throughout your next... Oh, that's just saying you may not activate them. Okay, so we got to interpret this based on the little information they gave us. Upon playing an Army card to activate a camp group, all units in the Army that start the activation within 2 hexes. Yeah, it's within the Army. Dang it, dang it, dang it. Okay, so here's what I wanted to do. Let me just explain it to you. I wanted to put a camp group like right here. And then that would activate all of these. So 2 different corps. The problem is in order to do that, I think I need a German 5th Panzer Army card. This is the 7th Army card, as you notice. And so if we look here, I have the 1st SS, which is up north. The 42nd Panzer Corps is... God only knows. Oh no, that's the, 47th. Okay, so this one is at least these units here, but it's not those ones. So it's close. So I'm going to keep that on top. And then here you can see this is the 47th Corps. What's the difference between these? This is XLVII. Okay, so that's 40. And this is LX, so that's the 67th Corps. That's what that is. Okay, so that's these guys up here. Those are the 60s. I got to pay attention to the colors. All right, and so LV. So that's the 58th Panzer Corps. That's these guys here. So yes, I have a card to activate these ones, and I have a card to activate those. I wanted one that would let me activate both. That's what I was really gunning for. And I think I just got unlucky with my card draw. Now, here's the other good thing. I have a 6th Panzer Army card. So this is just like my other one. I'm going to put that on top. So let's see if we can take advantage of this. I want to do a camp group because I want to activate a whole buttload of guys. I don't want to just activate a corps. This is a surprise attack, so let's surprise them for God's sakes. Hey, Schnell. Okay, so 6th Army is these guys. These punks right here are the 6th Army. And there's a whole lot of allies up here. This whole group looks actually to me quite tough. So what I would like to do is punch a hole through. I really liked his strategy of coming up here and trying to punch through this, which seemed to help, except the bridge thing screwed him up. The river stops here, and if you'll notice, there's no river at all here. And then the river starts up again up here. So we don't have to worry about bridges. So maybe this is our way through. And so this is the German 6th Panzer. And I can place a camp group. And that camp group activates everything within 2 spaces of it. Now what's interesting though is that this entire thing is the ISS core. So I don't need a camp group. All I need is just a core card and this would activate. Let's see if I even have one. But if I put a camp group here, I would at least activate that guy there. So anyways, let's go back. I'm gonna see if I have just an ISS. Oh, right here. Look at this. The SS Panzer Corps. See, I can deploy, or I'm sorry, I can activate all units in the core. And that is just as good as a camp group, because a camp group is just 2 spaces all around. So if I do this and I go 2 spaces all around, I'm getting the entire core, right? That's the equivalent of just playing a core card. The only thing extra I'm getting is just 1 unit from here. And I'm not sure that that's worth it. So there's no need to do a camp group. We can just do a Panzer Corps card. So 36 minutes into the game, I am finally making my first decision. I'm so sorry about that, but we're gonna play this card right here. So we want to activate all units in the core. All right, so now what the hell do I do? This is the part where I get nervous. Okay, so I want to do stuff. I want to do all kinds of stuff. So I need to activate them. And how may I activate them? So here we go. There's an activation procedure. So obviously we can't activate. Okay, that didn't help me. So then we would do roadblock check. Any active unit adjacent to a roadblock. No, none of them are adjacent to roadblocks. Take control of an allied bridge that has an activated unit and a hex bordering it, and no enemy unit occupies the hex across it. There's no bridges, so we don't have to worry about that. All right, so then let's go up here. Movement. I'm not allowed to do any move. So this is where I think I'm supposed to be able to play cards along with it, right? I mean, I can play supplemental cards for yeah, this is where I'm confused, because it says that the reinforcement action lets me do a move, and this is a useless thing to do if I don't get the reinforcement action. So let's look. So these are combat ones. Right there, reinforced battle. So the 5th Panzer Army has a reinforced battle. This one also has a reinforced battle. So we can activate the whole 1st SS Panzer Division, which I think is the same as the Corps, isn't it? Yeah, it pretty much is. So this is a pretty cool card, but and it only costs 1 point. That's pretty cool. This one costs 2 points. So if I do this plus that, you'll notice that's 5 points right there. But I get more points this game, so I'm going to do this one. So that would be 5. So what does reinforced battle do for me is the next question. And I know it's going to let me move, because that heavy lifting by myself video taught me that. And the rules flat out say you can't move unless you do that. So I want to do that. And so now I got to understand so there's a German attack sequence, advance after combat, and then it gets into the Allied impulse. So it doesn't explain anything about reinforcement cards. So I'm at 40 minutes in, and I know it sounds silly, but I'm going to stop and do a rule check and figure out how to get this reinforced battle, because I want to be able to move my guys. But I'm pretty confident that this is the card I want to play. It does cost 3, and that one will cost 2. So I'm pretty sure that's what I want to do. And I want to activate all units in the 1st SS Panzer Corps. And so we're gonna try to punch a hole through the forest here and encircle all these allies up north. That's the plan. So I just got to figure out how this fits in that plan. It talks about, movement. It talks about, doing an attack and building. Like, I get that that's all part of my action, but what I'm not seeing here is how can I do this reinforced battle. So that's what I got to figure out. And I know it says it's part of combat. So do I have to initiate combat somehow? And then as part of combat, I can move troops. So then, so what I'd be doing here is I'd be initiating combat with let's say this guy. And then that would allow me to move the troops from back here forward. That's what I'm wondering, because it's considered to be part of the combat action. Here it is. Yeah, actually, now that I said that, here it is, right here. So combats are optional, declared and resolved one at a time. Each combat is against all enemy units in 1 hex. Choose an enemy occupied hex to at least 1 active unit as the target. Which of your active units adjacent to it are participating? A unit may attack once it's given an activation. A unit may only attack once in a given activation. And then you play your tactic cards. You may play cards as combat tactics for this attack, even if the effects can't be used. You still get 1 chit draw for it. So max cards played per activation equals the command value of the activating card, which for us is a 3. So we could play up to 3. At least 1 German unit is supplied. A combat tactic applies only to 1 combat. And reinforced battle, you get to select and move those units. And then you have to deal with roadblocks and blown bridges. So the good news is I am on the right track. The bad news is this doesn't explain how reinforced battle works. What the right order is. So yes, now I know where in the rulebook I need to go. And so I'm going to do a quick pause. And I'm going to do some research on... So for example, here's what's going through my mind. Obviously, I'm activating these yellow guys, right? Can I somehow attack this? And I'm assuming the answer is no, because you have to do a move first, and then you can declare an attack. And it is clear that you do a move before you attack in this game. But since movement's not allowed, we can't do that. So the best I can do is just attack him. And then I get to move guys as part of that attack. What I'm curious about is how did that heavy lifting by myself guy attack somebody way up here? And I'm assuming that because he did the reinforce, so what he did was he activated this core up here, and then with the reinforce, he was somehow able to bring in another core through the reinforce action. That's my guess. That's interesting, because if that's the case, then maybe I want to activate this guy down here, right? This core. So if I activate this core and then I reinforce using this core, we can maybe take this guy out and do some damage. I don't know. So let me pause and think it through and get some answers. And thanks for watching this first video, which took an extremely long time for me to pick a card. All right, appreciate it. Thank you.